Whew. Oh, lovely having you on. Tonight, it's pretty much just, I would probably refer to it as a bit of a bed flow. So we're kind of flowing ready, or we're probably getting the body ready, probably also the mind, just to make the transition from our hectic day to day, perhaps even as it was, kind of just to get ourselves ready for bed. Again, always go at your own pace. If something feels a little bit uncomfortable, depending on any aches, any pains, then back off. We don't need anything specific, maybe just a couple of blankets if you prefer to have a little bit more padding for anything. And just otherwise, just use the next hour or so for yourself. So getting started on your backs and stretching your arms and legs away from you. So you can, whatever feels comfortable. So just letting your arms maybe rest up over your head, maybe a little bit, the elbows bend. We're not going to be here for too long. Feet maybe rolling out to the sides. And just allow yourself to stretch out on the floor. So the earth is a nice place to feel supported, feel nourished. So while it's nice to be in the bed as well, sometimes the mattress is probably too soft. So just allowing yourself to settle here. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just you, your breath, any perhaps aches and pains, so they belong to us. So the more we kind of accept that state and not resist anything that's present, the easier it gets to find balance in our bodies, in our minds, in our lives. So allow your awareness to come to your breath. So how is your breath? How is your mind? As your mind, if your mind is busy, the breath feels a little bit jittery, chattered, maybe a little bit jumpy as well. So come into your body and take a few deep breaths. If it feels comfortable, in through your nose and out through a wide mouth. Let it settle. Let it sigh it out. And feel even the torso, the body settling further into the earth. Deep inhale through your nose. Or inhaling, so you bring oxygen in, exhale, sigh it out. Last one here, deep inhale. And exhale, sigh it out. Just either have your eyes closed or soft gaze. Maybe bring your arms up over it. Stretch, maybe even tense all the muscles in your body. Squeezing your feet, your shins, your calves, your shoulders, your hands. And then let the body drop towards the earth. Flex your feet as you draw your toes towards your face. And bring your arms up and overhead. So you're really stretching up high. If you look at yourself from the top, it's almost if you're standing as we are coming into a kind of a sturdy mountain pose by reaching up towards the sky. On the exhale, point your feet and bring your arms alongside your body. Inhale, flex your feet. So bring the toes closer, bring your arms up and over. Let the breath direct into your upper lungs, chest, and exhale. Point your feet and bring your arms alongside the body. Resist the temptation of moving your arms quite quickly. Inhale, arms reach up, the toes draw towards your body, lengthening. And exhale, slowly pointing your feet and bring the arms forward. So the fingertips and the toes point in the same direction. Inhale, lengthen, toes draw towards your face. So we are pressing through the heel, lengthening, and exhale, toes point forward as your arms slowly flow down towards the earth. So find your rhythm, find your breath. Do it a couple of more rounds. So stretching up, lengthening, On the inhale and exhaling, almost visualizing how the breath is drawn down and out, almost through the feet. Inhale, rising up, lengthening all the way up to your fingertips. And exhale slowly. Breathing out and pointing your feet away. Lovely. Take 2 more of those kind of floating movements. Inhaling, lengthening. And exhaling, slowly reversing. So look at your arms as almost as extension of your breathing muscles, helping you to stretch the tissues around your lungs. And literally moving the breath higher up into the body. Exhaling, softening here. As you finish that, your last round, just take a moment to soften into the earth, letting the feet again, or once more, roll out to the sides, palms face down. And stay for 1 or 2 breaths. So we're kind of switching from the doing mode into the being mode. So from here, slowly bend 1 knee at a time. Bring your feet up towards, or bring your feet onto the earth, knees point towards the ceiling. And then moving almost in a similar fashion into a bridge pose. So on the inhale, press into your feet, bring your arms up and over. Still keeping that length in your body. And exhaling, slowly bring your arms down and also your hips down. Inhaling, lengthening, rising up, stretching. And exhaling, slowly bring your arms down and also bring your hips down. So see if you can synchronize that movement. Inhaling, hips and arms reach up. And exhaling, slowly arms and hips make their way towards the earth. Slowly settling down your lower back, your pelvis. So find your own mindful flow, stretching a little bit for your neck, for the shoulders. Exhaling, slowly floating down. So if it's too strong for whatever reason, just lifting your hips and keeping the arms alongside your body. So focus on the sensations of the breath as the breath travels through the body. So switching hopefully off from our busy minds and dropping back into our bodies. Lovely. Once you finish your 2 rounds, have your knees towards the chest. So let's just bring them in, and without pulling them towards your stomach or towards the belly, just let them rest here, let them soften. So just the weight of your legs adds a little bit of, or towards that stretch, maybe rock from side to side, holding onto your knees, to your shins. Lovely. And then just bring gentle movement into your knees. So your knees almost just, or your hips alternately just move as if you're kind of cycling. So you can continue to rock on your back, bring the knee in and bring the knee away from you. So as your arm also starts to lengthen, as you hold on to your knee, to your shin, there might be a little bit of a sensation running through the back of your neck, through your shoulders, through your arms. So it's more explorative here. The more you bring your knee away from you, the deeper you might experience that stretch. You can make it as soft or as intense that stretch as you want it to be. So moving through your hips, through your arms and shoulders, just mobilizing through your hips. So again, keeping the emphasis on that softness. What's happening in the body. So checking in with the body, with your breath. Lovely. So take perhaps 1 more of that type of cycling, just moving mindfully. And then bring that left foot down, holding onto your right knee, maybe give it a bit of a squeeze, let it settle here, let it rest. If it feels uncomfy on top of your abdominals, take your knee out a little further towards the right arm, towards the right elbow, towards the right armpit. And then flex and point that right foot. As you hold onto your right knee to your right shin, flex and point the right foot. Moving into ankle circles. So gently just mobilizing the ankle joint, or the ankle joint. So while flattening that lower back into the earth, so we are lengthening, keeping the tailbone down, the hips, the pelvis keeps that contact with the floor. From here, slowly, still holding onto your right leg, extend the foot up towards the ceiling as if you want to push the ceiling away from you. So we're moving into that kind of half happy baby. So you press the foot up and then slowly draw the knee towards your arm, towards the floor. So at all times, the right foot is flexed. Unless it feels uncomfortable, then just keep it neutral, holding onto your right shin, calf. So gentle, kind of letting go of your leg and then bringing it closer towards the floor. So we are releasing any tension that might be lingering around the back, the lower back. So you can continue more dynamically, reaching up as if you want to push the floor, the ceiling away, and then drawing the knee in, or just even holding that leg for a couple of breaths, lengthening through the lower back as well as opening that right hip. So if you choose to hold that posture for a little bit longer, focus on that breath. So inhaling through your nose, exhaling softly, letting go. And through that letting go, even any kind of difficult situations from the day, and you let go of any roles you played today. So we all take different roles. One more breath, whether it's dynamic or it's more static, and then release that leg up towards the ceiling. Give it a bit of a shake so you can extend that leg up. A couple of deep breaths. Lovely. Maybe a bit of a circling of that foot. And then bring your right foot down. Before we move on to the second side, take a moment just to settle. How does the right side compare to the left side? Is there maybe a little bit of warmth going on? So maybe that's that kind of energy flowing. So we're releasing some blockages that probably build up through the day from sitting or just not moving enough generally. Have your left knee in towards your chest. Let it just hover here for a few breaths. Again, getting used to that additional weight on top of our maybe abdominals. If it feels uncomfy, take the knee a little bit further out towards the left side. Flex and point that left foot as you hold on through your left, as you hold on to the left shin, to the left kneecap. So perhaps visualization works for you. Then imagine how the left side of your body lengthens, moving into those perhaps ankle circles. So gentle squeeze of that left thigh. And then release that leg, hold on to your left shin, your left calf as you flex the left foot and press the heel up towards the ceiling. So you can gently move your left leg away from your body and then draw that left knee, left thigh towards the floor, towards the left shoulder, armpit. So half of happy baby. Start more dynamically as you move through the postures, mobilizing again the hip joints, lengthening the hip flexor here as well, or just nourishing that hip flexor. So mindful movement, if there's any maybe soreness, perhaps just return to letting that left leg hover and perhaps mobilize through the hip joint. So for those gentle hip circles. So perhaps settling into a more static hold. You're literally drawing that left knee a little closer towards the floor, your left armpit. Breathing through those perhaps intense holds. Lovely, holding perhaps for 2 more breaths. And slowly release your leg up towards the ceiling. Give it a bit of a shake, softening the muscles. While you're continuing that, kind of those deep belly breaths. And then bring your left foot down eventually. Letting your body settle, letting the legs settle, releasing the hip joint. Stay for 2 more breaths. You can perhaps keep your arms alongside the body. Maybe they rest somewhere on your body. So just notice maybe any change in your body and your mind. Take the feet, kind of sense the outside edges of your mat. You can bring your arms out to the sides, palms facing up, either T-shape or cactus shape, and then settling into those windscreen wiper legs. So taking kind of a very soft approach here, lengthening for the right side, for the left side. Again, mindful movements. Notice perhaps if you're doing it quite fast. If so, can you maybe scale it back 1 or 2 notches so you're really noticing the different nuances, maybe noticing how you roll from one side of your pelvis to the other side. Maybe there's that tailbone in the way, literally. So just focusing on those little sensations from your body. So letting go of the stresses of the day. Stay with those windscreen wipers for another probably 3 to 4 breaths. And then settle your legs towards the right side. So keeping both knees pointing towards the right side. Turn your neck away towards the left side of so you're looking towards the left shoulder, your left arm. So just settling into a bit more of a static hold. If you wish, you can take your right foot and place the foot on top of your left thigh, your left knee. So that added weight just deepens the twist slightly. Direct the breath into the left side of your body, maybe into the left side of your thigh. If it feels too heavy a sensation because the right foot rests on your left thigh, remove the right foot again. So because with just a few breaths of holding, it might feel a bit more intense than when you originally started. 2 more breaths into the left side of your thigh, your waist, the left side of your abdominals. And if you had the foot on top of your left thigh, release the foot. Slowly bring your knees back to center. Keep your knees pointing up towards the ceiling, just allowing the body to find its neutral place. Taking 2 breaths, nourishing every cell in the body. And then the same type of sequence on the second side. So let your knees drop towards the left side. If it feels okay, take your gaze over towards the right. Find that setup that works for your constitution tonight. If it feels okay, maybe bring that left foot on top of your right thigh. So adjust if it feels maybe too strong in your back, maybe too strong in your thighs, your knees. So I'm just here to guide you, but you need to decide whether it's appropriate to be in that position. So there's always different options. Maybe just settling into that, starting into the basic version of that twist. Visualize the breath nourishing the right side of your body. Stay for another 3 to 4 breaths. You can also close your eyes for a more inward experience. So shutting our senses off, especially the one that's the busiest, our side, sometimes makes a difference to drop into the body. With your next breath, slowly lift your knees so they're turning up towards the ceiling again. Take a moment to settle, to neutralize the spine, to neutralize your hips. Arms can stay in cactus arms or out in T shape. Taking 3 deep breaths. So perhaps bring them to equal length. So the inhale is of similar length to the exhale. Lovely. With your next breath, slowly roll onto one side and transition into a seated position, please. So really take it easy, take it slow. Monday evening, first kind of a whole new week ahead of us. Who knows what the week brings? So uncertain these days. Sitting cross-legged, if it feels uncomfortable, you can always take your feet kind of into that diamond shape. You can bring the soles of your feet together so the knees pop out wide. You can even support them left and right, for example, with some blankets. So that's always possible, or even sitting on a blanket. So you're lifting up a little bit higher. So whichever posture you choose, and allowing the upper body to circle. Good. So keep it really soft. So no specific awareness. So use that kind of weight distribution as you circle, hands on your knees if it feels okay, or hands on any part of your shins. So just allowing that upper body to circle, leaning slightly forward, leaning a little bit back. Good. And then go the opposite way as well. So sometimes it feels a little different. Getting out of that routine, out of autopilot. Lovely. And then move that circular motion into a little bit of a side stretch, slowly including your arms as well. So we're like a tree swaying in the wind. Notice maybe in that kind of just natural movement, if you want one side of your hip lifts. So if that's the case, just bring that awareness to your sitting bones so they're connected to the earth at all times. So and with that connection, the stretch might be a little deeper. So again, see if you can perhaps slow it down by 1 or 2 notches. So we don't need to rush from one point to the other. So we've done this throughout the day. So now it's time to slow down, to become a little bit more mindful, to drop back into any sensations in the body. So eventually get to the stage where you just hold that arm here, maybe even let it drop, neck soft. If it feels uncomfortable with your neck, just take the neck perhaps in a position where there's no strains, no strains and no discomfort. And directing that breath into that side body. Lovely, one more breath wherever you are. And big arm circle, second side. So allowing the top arm, just to be quite floppy, quite heavy. And send the breath once more into the side. Be aware of your neck, any sensations in your neck. Good. And after your next breath, bring that arm up and over. So from here, whether you're sitting cross-legged or with the feet, just the soles of your feet touching, allow yourself to lean forward. So gentle hip opener, releasing any tension from your upper back, neck, head area. Stay for 3 long breaths of inhaling and also exhaling. Notice if your breath is of different lengths, so perhaps bring it to equal length to start with. Good. And when you finish your breath, slowly roll up to seated, and then either bring your knees together from that sitting and then transition onto all fours. So you always have a bit of padding for your knees as we're coming a little bit into a flow, but we might be on our knees, kind of in a kneeling position. So perhaps have something for underneath your knees. Starting in tabletop, feet a little bit wider. So keep it in a way where you don't need to make any adjustments. So perhaps taking your bottom back, if that's a good way to travel through child's pose. If your knees are a little bit further together and you feel like compression, perhaps adjust your knees, take the knees a little wider so there's a bit more of a gap. Lovely. From here, slowly coming up into tabletop, lifting the chest, moving into cat and cow posture. Exhale, rounding the spine, then shifting that rounded spine back towards your heels. Coming up to tabletop, releasing the belly, lifting the chest, looking forward. Exhale, rounding and staying in that rounded back and just shifting the weight back towards your heel. Good. Coming up, releasing that belly, lifting the chest, looking forward on the inhale. Exhale, rounding and softening that bottom back towards your heel. So do it for 2 more rounds. Inhaling, coming up, uncurling the spine, lengthening. Exhale, rounding, heavy head, heavy neck, and then slowly shifting the weight back, long arms. Lovely, last one here, coming back up, uncurling the spine, lengthening. Exhaling, rounding, and shifting the bottom back. So adding on from here, coming into tabletop, or just moving back up onto all fours from here, moving into kneeling, bring the arms into cactus arms, lifting the chest as gently looking up towards the sky. Exhale, come back onto tabletop and lower onto the belly into cobra. So slowly lifting up. Exhaling, lowering, pushing your hands into tabletop and keeping your hands glued and the bottom just reaches back, so we are lengthening. So stay for 1 breath. Inhale, sliding up into that kneeling cactus arms, lifting the chest, drawing the elbows back. Exhale, bring your hands down. Slowly moving into that cobra. And then kind of moving through that cobra, a little bit of a lift. Exhale, lower, press into your hands, tabletop, and keeping your hands glued, shifting the bottom back, lengthening. Staying for one breath in that lengthening kind of child's pose. Inhale, moving up into kneeling. Cactus arms, drawing the chest forward, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Exhale, bring your hands down. Slowly transition onto your tummy, onto your belly. Inhale, and then drawing the shoulders back, lifting it into cobra. Exhale, lower. Into tabletop. And get more extended child's pose. Lovely. Last cycle here. Reaching up, cactus arms as you lift the chest. Perhaps look up. Exhale, hands down. Slowly transition into tabletop. Inhale, lift. Cobra. Exhale, lower. Pushing up into tabletop. And a little bit of a more restful child's pose. So you can bring the big toes together, knees wider. Your choice whether you keep your arms long, maybe make a cushion for your head to rest on. And settling here into a few breaths. So as we settle here, try to lengthen the exhale. So making the exhale slightly longer than the inhale. So perhaps breathing in to a count of 3 or perhaps 4, exhaling to count of 6 or 7. So if it feels uncomfortable, stay with that equal length of breath. So you can always adjust child's pose if the bottom is up a little bit higher. So one more deep breath, inhale. And slowly lengthen the exhale. Lovely. Come back onto all fours. So we are keeping our hips stacked over our knees. Bring your left hand towards the right corner of your mat and shifting your bottom towards the left heel. Make a cushion for your with your right forearm and lengthen. We're lengthening for the left side of the upper body. You can keep it soft by bringing your forearm, the elbow down. If you want to intensify, deepen and stretch, keep that left elbow, left forearm lifted. Perhaps even pressing into your fingertips, coming up into those kind of tripod fingers, spider fingers. Visualize how the breath really creates more length for the left side of your body. One more breath. And then slide that left arm back to center. So coming up into tabletop, maybe a little bit of a wiggle. Is the left side longer? Does it feel longer? Is it really longer? Perhaps it's just those tissues slightly lengthened. So right hand towards the left corner of your mat, shifting your hips towards the right heel. Once more, adjust your left hand so it supports your forehead. And decide whether you want to keep that right forearm elbow down or lift it. So it's calming as well as nourishing and bringing length into the second side of your body. Stay for 2 more breaths, please. And then slide your hands back to tabletop. A little bit of a wiggle. So looking over your right shoulder, your left shoulder. Good. So spine likes to move in different dimensions. Optional here, depending on energy levels. You can lift up into downward dog, or you can rest in child's pose. So pick what you want to do tonight. You can curl your toes under, lift your knees up, maybe a little bit of a wiggle, stretching out your calves, shaking out your head. Or if you want to keep it quite restful, then sit towards child's pose or come into restful child's pose. So again, it's personal choice. So keep it soft without any focus on achievement. So just letting the body lengthen. So from here, if you're in downward dog, make your way down to tabletop. If you're in child's pose, come back to tabletop as well, please. So maybe take a blanket once more for your knees. We are stepping forward with our right foot. So sail that or travel that right foot out towards the right corner of your mat. And shifting between that runner stretch and that low lunge. So again, starting quite soft. You can always bring a pillow or a cushion underneath your left leg. So underneath your left knee, if it feels a little maybe, so use anything from home that softens that kneecap. Fine, or just find that kind of in between as you shift the weight, lengthening through the hamstring as well as lengthening through that left hip flexor. So avoid in that runner stretch to sit all the way down. So keeping those feet kind of in the same position. So we are just shifting, and so shifting the weight forward and backward, and the upper body literally acts as that lever to deepen the stretch. So the more you lean your upper body forward, the more that stretch deepens as we lengthen through the right hamstring. So you can stay in either posture for a little bit longer, settling here. So if that's the case, if you wish to do it, keep that emphasis on the exhale, where you find that softness in the posture. So we're letting go, we are releasing through the breath. So at any point you can move out of the posture. So there's no specific mandatory holding. If it feels easier for you or more comfortable to shift between both states, both postures, feel free to do so. If you're still in low lunge, so you can either stay in low lunge or shift into a little bit of a longer hold for that runner stretch. So for the runner stretch, you can play with different positions of your foot. Perhaps just keep it neutral. Maybe keep the heel pressing into the earth. So the reason to take the right leg almost out to the outer edge of your mat and your hands are more to this left side, there's enough space for the body to move. If it feels okay, you want to challenge yourself, you can bring your right hand next to your right leg. So with your hands, you frame that leg and then release your weight forward. So, and it might feel quite intense. It might feel quite strong on the hamstring. The personal preference, if you want to shift again between those two legs or find states or find stillness. If you find stillness, focusing on releasing through the exhale. either through the mouth or through your nose. So I think you're almost done with one side. Lovely. Get ready to prepare yourself to bring that right foot back to tabletop. Maybe a little bit of some tabletop circles. So you're shifting through the hips, you're shifting from side to side, maybe you through the hips, lengthening. You can then even transition into perhaps a child's pose, maybe circle through your wrists, through your hands, maybe a bit of opening and closing of your fingers. Settling perhaps here. So find how you get into that being state, connecting to your breath, any sensations in your body. Maybe the right leg, the right hip feels a little bit softer, a bit more released. Lovely. Find your way into tabletop once more. Step your right foot forward. Perhaps adjust your blankets underneath your right knee. So, perhaps one thing to note as you release the right hip, have the left knee over your left ankle. So just moving. So keep it quite soft. As the beginning is always the hardest. But with practice, with time, those muscles begin to release. And notice if you perhaps hold that breath, maybe if you clench your teeth, if your jaw of your face feels quite tense. Perhaps in that process, maybe you stick your tongue out, kind of include that lion breath. So wiggle your upper and your lower jaw, perhaps. Shaking out your neck, your head. So any movement as that tightness tries to find other ways in the network of the body just to escape. So use the breath to really let it go. So hips and hamstrings are really kind of the culprits that keep the body tense. And when the body is tense, the mind is unable to switch off, especially during or before bedtime. So hence those stretches are very beneficial before bedtime. You can do them anytime during the day if you need a bit of a stretch, especially if you sit for long periods of time. So if the knee feels okay and you want to stay a little bit more static, find that release through through the right hip, perhaps. So if you're in runner's stretch, maybe stay for a little bit longer. You decide how long you want to stay. I'm not doing the yin type of practice where we're kind of almost timing how long we stay in each posture, perhaps 2 minutes or more. Still about that slowing down. So find that softness in your own body, even though you might doesn't feel soft. Kind of screams tension, screams tightness. So it's with practice, it gets easier. So if you stayed in one posture a little bit longer, then transition to the second posture. If it feels okay, stay for a few breaths. Perhaps explore different foot placements. If you're in runner stretch, which one feels more intense? So sometimes just very small changes, subtle changes that really make all the difference. Good. And slowly begin to get ready to come out of the pose. So walk that left foot back to tabletop. Perhaps a little bit of a wiggling, swaying through the hips. Lovely. Oh, so any movement here, maybe you fancy some more cat and cows or flowing cobra movement. So anything you feel the body wants, maybe you even come into a stillness and settling in child's pose. So whatever it is, that listening to your body. So it loves to move. Then slowly come up into tabletop and transition once more into a seated position, please. So bring the feet out in front of you, and in a way where you can access your feet. So you might want to have one leg stretched out a little bit. Maybe you feel it's already accessible. So we're giving our feet some attention. So you can, depending how it feels, you can just keep the foot on the floor. You can cross one foot over. So literally starting with the big toe. So we're all at home, we can wash hands later. So use kind of your index, your thumb, and thumb just squeezing a little bit into the big toe. And just move down your toes, a little bit of a squeeze, maybe gently pull, as if you pull the toe out of the socket, the joint, and go down towards the middle toe, a bit of a squeeze, maybe just gentle pull. So to the fourth toe, gentle pull to the tiny pinky toe, a bit of a pull. With both hands, perhaps, if that feels accessible, squeeze into the balls of your feet. So a little kind of a gentle massage. So our feet really, they do a lot of work. They carry us through life. Then walk through with your hands, kind of massage down the arch of your foot. That's outside, inside. So gentle squeeze. Does it feel sore? Does it feel a bit uncomfortable? Is that discomfort? And then all the way towards your heel. Good. And then almost take your foot into one hand. Maybe just let it wobble here. Perhaps once more cycle it here. Good. So now just bring your hands in, your fingers in between those toes. So if I use my left foot and my right hand, so I'm using my fingers to slowly slide them in between those toes, which probably is a bit achy, so it causes some friction, some tension. Once more, breathe through those sensations. Once you manage to get your fingers into your toes, perhaps have a gentle squeeze and breathe, but don't forget to breathe. Maybe you move your toes up and down. Again, it might be quite ouchy, as I like to call it. So just a bit of a movement here, giving your toes some TLC. And then release your fingers again. Extend that foot away from you. And just perhaps close your eyes for a moment, sensing into that left foot or into your right foot, the foot we just worked with. So does it feel more alive? Does it feel more spacious? Lovely. Second foot. And just whichever way it works to access the foot, you might bring it onto your thigh, or you just leave it on the floor. Again, big toe, just a bit of a gentle squeeze and gentle pull. So we're just talking very tiny movements, and then work your way down towards the pinky. Bit of a squeeze, bit of a pull. Squeeze and gentle pull. Squeeze and pull. And then move onto the balls of your feet. You can use both hands. So gentle squeeze and release pressure. And working your way down towards the heel, so down the arch of your foot. So noticing, are there points which are quite intense, quite soft, all the way to your heel, just maybe a little bit more effort needed. So just give each area some attention, awareness. So you can lift your toe, your foot, maybe even shake out that ankle. A little wobble, wobble. That's just once more circling through your ankle. So you use the opposite hand. And then the last one here. You can attempt to get your fingers in between those toes. So there's probably a couple that but feels it's accessible, and then there are others where you feel, oh gosh. So stay within a sensation level where you can still breathe without getting too intense. So once you found your way in between your toes, squeeze them gently. So as if you want to squeeze your hands together, that hand that's in between your toes. Exhale. Maybe a little bit of a wiggle, so you move the toe joints up and down, so you're bending your toes down and up. So just tiny movement perhaps. So we're not talking big movements. Lovely. Maybe in the meantime, drop your awareness into the opposite foot. Is it feeling hot? Is it warm? Is there sensation going on? And release your hands again on that foot. Extend it out. Just sit in a way where you just, so no specific alignment, just sensing what's happening in your feet. Breathing in and out. Perhaps a little bit of a wiggling your feet from side to side, wobbling. Good. And then slowly transition onto your back. And perhaps bring your knees once more towards your abdominals, lengthening through the spine, letting the weight of your feet, your shins, your calves, your thighs just settle here. Perhaps stick your tongue out and wiggle your upper and your lower jaw. Perhaps squeeze the face, make a funny, scary face. So taking 3 more deep breaths. So inhale through your nose. Exhale, side out. Twice more, deep inhale. Exhale, side out. And then find your relaxation posture. You can extend your legs away from you. You can keep your knees bent, the feet on the floor, on your side. Maybe bring any blankets underneath your neck, your head, maybe rolled up blanket or a cushion underneath your knees, your thighs. So just make it quite comfy. Stretching out. So keep your arms perhaps alongside the body, palms facing up. And connect to those points, all those different points of your body connecting with the earth. So it could be your whole body, maybe just a few parts, depending how you rest. Eyes can be open, just a gentle gaze, or eyes can be closed. Returning to your natural breath. And become aware of those sensations in your body. So it could be certain warmth in terms of temperature, perhaps it could be a bit of tingling, kind of vibration. It could be maybe nothing, perhaps just a certain level of heaviness. So whatever it is, whatever you notice, just give yourself permission to fully release the body. Letting the breath become soft, gentle, almost effortless. Feeling the back of your head resting on the earth. Softening or melting your shoulders into the floor. Letting the mid-back, the lower back, the pelvis soften. Releasing any tension, any tightness from your thighs. So letting go of any holding, any gripping, any tensing of the muscles. Allowing that heaviness to move into your shins and calves. Releasing the muscles around your ankles, your heels. Softening the soles of your feet, the tops of your feet. And bring that spaciousness into your toes. Letting the breath move like a wave in through your nose, all the way down to your toes. And as you exhale, let the breath wash all over your body. From the tops of your toes to the top of your head. Letting go of any expectation, any roles, responsibilities. Just softening here into the present moment. If the mind plays tricks or feels clinging on to certain thoughts, then use perhaps a slight sound of your breath. Give your mind an anchor. As you follow the breath in through your nose, or through your mouth, and out through your nose or through your mouth. So rest doesn't need to be earned. Rest is a crucial part of our well-being. So perhaps visualize your breath coming in through your nose, nourishing your torso, your legs, your toes, and then moving all the way up towards your head. So I'll leave you here for a couple of more moments. Then I'll let you know when it's time to move. So begin to slowly deepen your breath. Bring movement into your fingers, your toes, hands, your feet. Maybe rock your head from side to side. Perhaps stretch up, stretching from fingertips to toes. So you can bring your arms up. And then bring your legs, your knees towards your chest again, towards your abdominals. Rocking or gentle holding. And let that rocking motion just let you roll over to one side. Staying there perhaps for a breath or two. And then slowly make your way into any seated position. So finding once more length, you can bring your arms up, gathering that energy, palms together, bring them towards your heart center, and bow your head towards your heart. Thank you for joining me tonight. Namaste.